Bang!
And the dirt is gone.
Hey, listen, fuckhead. You know, you can do whatever you want to do. You can put me on mute. You can turn the goddamn channel for all I care. What the fuck are you doing? And you're listening to us now. So obviously you didn't hit the fucking mute switch tonight, asshole.
I just want to say bang again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Royal Grumble. I am your host. It's me, it's Graham B. And sitting to my left, practicing his self-high five, we've got Daryl.
Hello.
Hello, Daryl. How are you?
I'm alright, mate. How are you?
Splendid. I'm not bad, thanks.
Right.
Not bad at all. Dying of cold, but apart from that, you know, I'll be alright. And sitting to my right, utilising the power of positivity, it is Daniel. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm not bad.
Splendid. So, is tonight going to be the greatest night in the history of our sport?
No.
No, it's not. But I don't think it's going to be the greatest night in the history of our sport for anybody because Tony Schiavone's got a new job.
Where's he work?
He's decided because I don't know if he's not well, but there's something going on with he wants a job that's got health benefits, so he's working at Starbucks now.
Oh, well, now I don't know if I can rip piss out of him because you just said he might be ill.
Well, it's the greatest coffee in the history of our sport, mate.
He said about it was he's trained to be a barista because they have great health benefits and he loves Starbucks.
There you go then.
Yeah,
I think that you can openly rip the piss out of him for that.
Oh, but he's just making a living, isn't he?
Oh.
I know, like... No, could you put it in my head, he might have cancer AIDS.
What?
Well, because if he needs health benefits, he might have cancer AIDS and I can't...
Libel.
Yeah, I'm not saying he has, it's just...
Slander. Whichever one's
I'm glad you
spoken.
did this first rather than as a closer because Daryl just took all the possible humour out of it.
Yeah, cheers,
Yeah.
Daryl.
Yeah.
God, you're supposed to be the funny one.
I'm not.
Well, that's what you put yourself on your own biography.
Oh, yeah. I wrote that myself.
You twat. But we're on to DDP today.
Do you think his finishing move might be the barista bomb?
Oh, there we go. There's the
Jokes.
There's the Daryl we know and love. Too late, mate. All the humour's gone. You've ruined it.
7-second rule, mate.
There you go.
Oh,
Tit.
thanks for telling me how to be funny, guys.
All right. We're going to talk about DDP today. We're doing another round of our famous career mode segments. Obviously, previously it was Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump in WWE. Today we're doing DDP in WWE. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing because I've just ruined my own little thing. I was going to say we're not a bad show, we're a good show, but I've ruined it for myself there, haven't I?
Smooth.
Oh, always. Very smooth. But there's a couple of things we want to talk about first. Can we just get this Hardy's shit out of the way, please? Right. What was this video that TNA put? I think it was on Impact. Like, I don't watch Impact, but...
I think it is actually genius. Like, it's unintentional genius. It's going to be like the room of wrestling promos. Just because it's just so out there and wacky and there's a fake baby in it. And it's just...
The fake baby is definitely my favourite part.
You sent us the link today to the director's cut, but the original short, 2-minute one is probably a little better because it goes from in Matt Hardy's studio or whatever, and then it suddenly just cuts. Like, he steps out of frame, and then all of a sudden he's in a wrestling ring in an entirely different room.
Yeah, but the shorter version doesn't have his little helping hand outside.
That was the other thing I was going to mention. The cameo for his gardener.
I'm devastated that his gardener didn't, when Jeff walked past, didn't, hiss at him in some kind of sinister sort of conspiracy manner.
Sorry, can we call him by his actual name? Brother Nero.
Oh, sorry, Brother Nero.
It's the weird accent and everything in the video as well. It's like he kind of goes like African at some points as well. His accent, it's just strange.
He doesn't even know what accent he's doing.
It's so good. I urge everyone to watch this promo.
I urge you not to watch it.
Jeff, you're tearing me apart.
The best, but did it make either of you want to see the match between them?
No.
It made me want to see a TV show, like a weekly episode, 10-minute show. I'd watch that. If it was like that every week, it would never get old. But I don't want to see a match between them.
No.
I mean, Matt Hardy's fucked his knees. We'll just put that out there because he did that side effect off it, side of ring, and he landed knee first on concrete.
Through a coffee table.
Through a coffee table, yeah, don't forget. Like, not a normal table, a table with a middle post.
Yeah.
Excellent. That's what people want to see.
But yeah, it's just TNA being genius.
Yeah, but they probably turned up weird, didn't they?
Definitely.
On floppy disk.
They'll have they'll have turned up with it and they'll gone, guys, we got this thing we filmed. We're gonna for our big feud, and they'll be like,
Yeah, but we've got an idea though.
No.
Yeah, but we want you to.
No, we're gonna put this thing on.
Please.
No, you're gonna put it on the telly.
Can we edit it a bit?
No. What's that, Vince? Oh, you want us back in
wait, Vince wants you back.
Oh yeah, definitely, maybe.
Oh, we'll play it then.
Yeah. Could you put it on the main event segment, please?
Oh, but Derek Bateman.
Oh, what's that, Vince?
Well, you can have main event. Sorry, Derek.
There's another part of this about the Hardys. I don't know whether this tweet was accompanying this video or it was another promo, but Jeff Hardy sent out a tweet that read something along these lines. Here's your new pop video. If you want to tweet it out, just copy this link.
What?
He'd copied and pasted the email, which had the link for his new video in it, but he'd copied and pasted the entire thing, and it got to 140 characters before he got to the link to the video, and he just tweeted out the bit that says, here's your new video for Pop TV, copy and paste this link, and tweet it out.
Brilliant.
Both of them are just absolute geniuses.
Inspired.
I think they're the opposite of genius.
Are you saying that Matt Hardy's new character with his weird accent and his straggly, like not even as good as raven hair, and his one strand of silver hair isn't amazing?
I might be implying that, yeah.
Strong words, Daryl. Strong words.
They've got a drone though.
Yeah. They had a lot of lovely shooting techniques in that video.
Yeah, they've invested in a drone. That's good.
What I liked about it was that they clearly had spent their own money on it, because you know that TNA couldn't afford to do anything of that sort of high quality shooting and low quality content.
They get to show off their houses as well. Like Matt Hardy's got this big farmhouse. Jeff Hardy starts off in his field that looks to have a sculpture of his logo.
Yeah, because it's not egotistical at all.
Did he drive past his trailer, or was that still burnt down?
His dog died.
Oh shit, I forgot his dog died. God, I'm sorry, Jeff Hardy's dog.
Considering all the stuff Jeff Hardy used to take and definitely doesn't still do now, that fire must have, anywhere near it, and you were seeing pink elephants.
I actually did forget that his dog died. I feel a little bit worse now, because I was thinking in my head, oh, no one died and it's fine, and then you've just reminded me that his dog did die. Oh, that's sorry.
You're a horrible human being.
Did somebody feed Matt pepper steak afterwards? Or all the up-to-date references here on the Royal Grumble. Speaking of up-to-date references, you wanted to talk a bit, I think, Dan, about the match that is going around the internet wrestling community.
Oh,
Everyone
right.
has an opinion on.
Can we never do a podcast again?
Is that it's over now?
Yeah, that's it.
Because I just said internet wrestling community.
He's done it again.
What if I said IWC? Is that
right?
Yeah.
Can I go on strike?
Not
you can,
really,
mate,
no.
but you don't get to talk about Harry Kane against Theo Walcott.
Don't understand what's going on.
Well,
Yeah, I don't get that reference either.
I just thought that Will Osprey looked a bit like Harry Kane, and I thought that Ricochet had the same facial hair as Theo Walcott, so that was what I was talking about there.
Is that what you took from that match?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that.
All right. Okay.
But I was hoping we'd get a chance, because if you can imagine, on Saturday night, Vader chilling out in his hotel room, his Ugg boots on.
Has he took a picture of his dick yet?
He probably took a picture of the screen and his dick ended up in the picture.
Okay.
But he decided not to tweet it this time. Instead, he just had to thumb his phone angrily about all the flips and spots in this match. But
Did he have his mask on?
probably.
Okay.
Can I back up? He took a picture of the screen and his dick. How big is his dick? Like, you've seen it, Daryl. How big is his dick?
It's a bit. It's like stumpy.
Oh.
Imagine Vader as a penis. It's a bit chubby and a bit stumpy, and it's a bit ginger.
You know when you regret asking anything? That's pretty much what's just happened
It's
to
like
me.
a little thumb.
Let's roll back to the beginning of this story.
Little thumb. I don't think we can. He's just said it's like a little thumb. I think
It doesn't have a nail. It's not weird like that.
I think the podcast is over. I think that's the end of. Never mind internet wrestling community. Like, Vader's penis is like a thumb. That's the end of all podcasting. all podcasts must cease from this point onwards.
Right, to be fair to Vader, he didn't actually see the match until later. His original anger was at a gif of the opening segment of the match where they do the like the whole thing, like showdown spot, and they both do these handstand flips off the ropes and face off. And that was the spot he saw that angered him, and he was like, "Oh, modern matches have no storytelling and all this stuff." And it's led to this huge debate where everyone seems to be getting involved in it. Like Steve Austin's done a podcast about it. Chris Jericho tweeting them, William Regal. Jim Cornette has talked about it today. I haven't listened to it.
Oh, of course he has. Jim Cornette's talked about it.
Someone tweeted the whole thing out, and it was about 20 tweets. His whole rant about how it wasn't wrestling and all this stuff. But it's Jim Cornette, isn't it?
Well, Jim Cornette did that whole thing. He had a point, but it's just I don't trust anything that Jim Cornette says. A little while ago when he was talking about, I can't remember if he was talking about Jarrell Clark or one of these people who does the 630, and he said there's no point in doing it because eventually you get to doing 2 flips, and after 2 flips no one can physically do 2.5 flips, so what's the point, because it's just going to get to the point where someone injures themselves. But that sort of set the tone for his general hatred of anything fun in wrestling. The silly flippy bit that you talked about where they kind of bounce off the ropes with a handspring, flip back and do like a superhero landing.
Yeah.
I didn't mind that. I know I remember watching it thinking, this is really stupid and ridiculous, but I actually didn't mind it.
It's entertaining.
I was alright with it, which I wouldn't have expected to be. I would have expected to think this is bullshit and fucking pissed off about it, but now...
I think if the whole match was like that kind of shit, then I think it'd annoy me, but because the whole match isn't like that.
Yeah, one thing I really noticed about the crowd, by the way, and this is, like, I'm sure this is generally a Japanese thing that I didn't really get, was loads of women in the crowd. You could really tell that there were loads of women, like, openly sat down and engaged in the match,
During the intro, there's 2 girls sat near the entranceway, and Will Osprey turns around and, like, winks at them or something, and they, like, literally just, like, melt in their seats and just go crazy over the fact that he's acknowledged them. It's the guy who's only been in the company a month.
Will Osprey, do you, like, kiss your mother with that mouth?
I thought that. Stop swearing, Will. Come on, mate.
Ah, you prick. Ah, you fuck.
Like,
you bastard, is what he said at one bit.
well, I was sat watching it with my fiancée, right? And she heard him say...
He's got a fiancée. He's got a fiancée.
Yeah, all right. Okay, he's got a girlfriend, so...
Don't...
Sorry, podcast groupies. He is off limits, so... Yeah, you put me off now. You bellend.
That's my job.
Yeah, she was sat watching it, and when she heard him go, "Oh, you bastard," she laughed. And then after that, he was just throwing out all sorts of swear words, at which point she was like, does he really need to at this point? And I thought, no, just...
In Japan, if you say the word bastard, do they know what it is? Because, like, fuck's a universal swear word.
Yeah,
like,
he does shout at one point when he's doing, like, a springboard elbow, he shouts, like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
That's what it was, yeah. I remember that. I was like, don't. There's no need. Especially when, obviously, with it being Japan, the crowd is almost always quiet.
Yeah.
Just comes off.
That was one of the blowaway things about this match, the crowd reaction to it. Like, the crowd were really, really into it. These are 2 guys who, one of them's known as a tag guy there, the other one's only been in the company a month, and they were given the headline spot on a show, and it completely tore the house down. And it is a really good match.
Couple more things, because I want to move on to the DDP thing. I really hate Will Ospreay's flippy DDT. It was really stupid, and I didn't like that. But I did quite like his flying diamond cutter. And on that note, flying diamond cutter, career mode. Boom, boom, boom. Thank you. Cheers. I appreciate that. We're going to talk about DDP's tenure in WWE after this.
Have you done your yoga today? That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. DDP, I like me. You like me. And I'm going to help you like you.
Welcome back to the Royal Grumble. So, as promised, it's career mode time again. We're going to talk about Diamond Dallas Page. Now, most people know Diamond Dallas Page these days as the creator of DDP Yoga and the guy who rehabilitates most of the sort of old wrestlers so that they're in some kind of state to walk up to make a Hall of Fame speech. But when he first arrived in WWE, it was shortly after the WCW buyout. He was maybe the only guy who took a buyout, I think.
Yeah.
Well, if we go back to him in WCW before we start talking about in WWE quickly, in WCW he was like the big babyface underneath Goldberg, pretty much. He was like the people's champion. He was a guy who got offered out for the NWO and turned them down, continually fought them. He was a guy who was trusted to team up with celebrities to go against the NWO and get them through a match. He was involved with David Arquette and Jay Leno and people like that. He was a big star in WCW, so when he came to WWE, there was going to be a lot of excitement. And he was I think he might have been the first big guy to come over after the takeover.
He was definitely the biggest name that I knew when the WCW invasion started. And I think, as I say, I'm pretty confident he was the only guy who took a buyout of his Time Warner contract. Because I think Booker T may have had a WCW contract, so he was part of the talent that they acquired.
Yeah, but Booker T being a big star is a myth. Because in WCW, he only became sort of like the champion towards the end.
It was like 2000, his first title.
Yeah, and before that, he was G.I. Bro. And he was feuding with Ahmed Johnson over who could use the initial T after their name.
Big T versus Booker / G.I. Bro.
Yeah.
He was nonetheless the world champion. And he'd been the world champion before the WWE
his
takeover.
first title reign was the night of the Hulk Hogan incident at Bash of the Beach 2000.
Yeah,
he was supposed to win the title and Hulk Hogan didn't want to drop the belt. That didn't work for him, brother.
He beat Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, he didn't want to drop the belt so a black guy could win it.
No, that's not what happened at all.
I know, he didn't want to drop it to Jeff Jarrett, but they wanted Booker T to leave the building with the title that night.
Did they, or is that what Vince Russo said afterwards?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure what the story is. And again, you might have heard different things, but I thought the story was Hogan. Who turned up to the building as champion? Was it Hogan?
Hogan. Oh no, Jarrett.
Jarrett turned up as and Hogan was always going to wrestle Jarrett that night.
Yeah.
And so Jarrett just laid down for him, and that was it. I've not heard anything about Booker T was meant to leave that night. He only left that night because Vince Russo got arsey about it.
That really sounds like the sort of thing that Vince Russo might have made up afterwards.
Bro!
G.I. Bro! Anyway, we're not talking about Booker T, we're talking about DDP. Now, DDP's arrival into the then World Wrestling Federation was before the invasion properly started. It was, I think, after Lance Storm went in and did that run-in on Perry Saturn, which is, you know, how you want to start the biggest angle in the history of the business, is with Lance Storm kicking Perry Saturn in the head. But it wasn't... He definitely arrived before the whole invasion angle had really started. They'd mentioned the fact that Shane owned WCW and they were doing this angle where Shane was trying to sign people up. But DDP's arrival was predated by the stalker angle. This was the stalker of the Undertaker's wife. Now, for those of you who don't remember, this is a series of vignettes where the Undertaker's wife was filmed by an anonymous person who had a voice modulator on. The person who actually the person who actually did the voiceover was Vince McMahon.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, well, he probably did all this himself.
Look at her shower.
Undertaker turned around one day and was like, have you got my wife on the telly? It's an angle, bro. I was about to say brother. I can't imagine Vince McMahon saying brother.
No,
that would have been wrong. You've still got me in Vince Russo mode. Bloody hell. So, the upshot of which was that DDP was revealed as a stalker. Daryl, you look like you've got something to say about these videos. Now, I imagine, as a man of experience, you know, with a camera, in an official capacity.
Well, hide in a bush.
Well, obviously that as well,
Yeah.
but I was thinking I would just sort of bail you out.
In your back garden, watching you change.
What, mine?
Yeah.
Really?
Mm.
Oh.
This has got really awkward, hasn't it?
Go on, talk.
What do you want me to say? Sorry?
Well, we were talking about the stalker angle.
Yeah, so... it's just really shit, innit?
Well, the damn thing is, I don't think, and I'm sure you'll jump all over me here. I don't think it started off that bad.
It didn't.
I'm with you.
It didn't start off shit. I'm looking back at the whole thing as being shit because I know what happens at the end. However, the whole thing of... Because The Undertaker, his character... Obviously, at that point, he was American Badass, but before that, he was a dead man, very mysterious. You wouldn't think, he's got a wife, would you? But then, obviously, they grounded him a bit and made him a biker racist, maybe? I don't know. Well, he's in with...
Why is he a racist?
Because Bone Street Crew, innit? Like, Disciples of Apocalypse, they're in it. So I assume that...
I thought, like, wasn't the Godfather in the Bone Street Crew?
Yeah, and
but all racists have got a mate that's black, haven't they? He's their token one.
Is it like Mr. T for Hulk Hogan?
Exactly like Mr. T for Hulk Hogan.
I think I might be starting to see where you're coming from with the whole Hulk Hogan and Booker T thing, Dan, if I didn't.
They grounded him kind of in reality, so they introduced his wife in. Did they introduce him in these segments, or had she already made an appearance?
I feel like they introduced her mostly in these segments. She may have made one or two appearances.
Yeah, because he got that dirty tattoo across his neck, didn't he, that said her name, which is fucking mental.
Especially when that's how it lays it off when he...
exactly, yeah. Woman. So, like, I've got a few tattoos and they're fucking kill, and then he's got one on his neck, or on his throat, which I could never imagine getting one done on my throat. And then he got it lasered off, and then something put on top of it.
It's mad, isn't it?
He's fucking solid, is what he is.
Yeah, he probably is, to be fair. Although, am I the only one who thinks that Michelle McCool looks a bit like Sarah?
It's a slight upgrade. That's what he did.
She's more attractive than Sarah.
She is, but don't you feel like he's gone, right, I'm done with this one now. Let's get the new model, who also has a slightly weird nose and is very blonde.
Yeah, I can see that. But like Dan said, he's got a type.
Well,
yeah,
clearly.
He's definitely got a type.
But I didn't even remember that until I watched all these angles.
And you thought, what's Michelle McCool doing in Attitude Era?
Is it still the Attitude Era at this point?
Yeah.
In a way. The actual reveal is really good.
Yeah, that's fucking quality.
Yeah, it is.
Now, it is preceded by a video of The Undertaker in a stupid cowboy hat, which I thought was really funny. I can't even imagine The Undertaker wearing a cowboy hat, like a proper, not like a, because obviously quite often
like
he wears
Stetson.
the dark, it's a proper like white Stetson, like JBL wears now. And it's just him wandering around his car going, oh, I need to sort the car out for going to the building later on. You're going to be with me and I'm going to make sure I take care of you. And he's just wandering around with this stupid cowboy hat on, looking like a complete mug. It's also prefaced by a little clip of Kane at WWF New York smacking a crane machine. Just because, that's how you leave.
You watched the same YouTube video as me.
I watched the show
was it
on the network, mate.
Oh, see, I watched the promos on YouTube, and
I watch them
like
legally.
they cut that part in like just right.
No, I watch them legally, mate. I don't steal from the WWE.
I get the network.
Thief. Speaking of thieves, DDP arrives on a motorbike in a balaclava. So I think the implication is that he's nicked the Undertaker's motorbike, because he's hanging around his garage, and then the next thing we see is the bloke on the motorbike in the balaclava arrive in the ring. He raises his fist like the Undertaker did at the time, and then the fist comes down, pulls the balaclava off, and everyone goes mental. It's a huge pop when he arrives. And this was, for as stupid as the angle was, this wasn't a bad way to start it. It's just everything after here turns to shit.
Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think they should have brought him in as a heel.
Probably not.
The reveal was really good, but I think showing like the reaction he got proved that they probably shouldn't have brought him in to get booed. Because like Dan was saying, he was a massive babyface in WCW, and like we were all saying, like he was like the only star to come over.
Well, DDP's been interviewed about this afterwards, and he's talked about the fact that if he hadn't been brought in to do the Undertaker angle, there was a likelihood they'd have gone with Booker T for that, and him against The Rock. So whilst it might have done his career some good, he was finished within a year anyway. So he's said, in retrospect, it probably worked out better because that meant that Booker didn't get saddled with the horrible stalker angle.
Yeah, but he didn't get to work with The Rock.
I know, he seems like an overly... like a guy who's really goes out of his way to apologise for other people. I do seem to remember hearing or reading that he basically got the piss ripped out of him for taking the buyout of his Time Warner contract because he wanted to work in the WWF, and they just looked at him as a massive mark and thought they'd just get the Undertaker to
Yeah, well, when he turned up, apparently he hugged Vince. Have you heard this?
I haven't, but this is related to what I was sort of mentioning.
Yeah, so like in several shoots, I've heard that, and I think DDP might have admitted it in one as well.
Probably.
He walked up to Vince, and like Vince had his hand out to shake his hand, and it's the very first time he'd ever met him, and he just hugged him. And because Vince is a massive mentalist, he didn't know how to react to that.
Wrestling's just a weird business, though. It's a weird business where, and we've seen this with the release. WWE recently released, like, I think 2 or 3 commentators or something, and it was noted that they were released because they were massive wrestling fans. And wrestling's a weird business where everyone wants to be so cool that when someone actually seems to really like being in the wrestling business, they're immediately just not cool. And DDP, I think, came across as a massive mark for the business and himself, which immediately caused everyone to go, well, he's a twat. Look at this dickhead enjoying what he does. What a bellhead. Let's rip the piss out of him and have the Undertaker punch him in the bollocks.
Yeah, look at this dickhead doing us a favour.
Exactly. Like, without DDP, they literally have no names.
Yeah.
Like, you said yourself, Booker T isn't really a name. I didn't know who Booker T was when he arrived in WWE, and I was like a WWF fan at the time. I'm a very short-term WWF fan, but even I knew who DDP was. I didn't know anybody else from the WCW invasion.
Did you know who DDP was, as he's one of the stars of the amazing film Ready to Rumble?
No, I didn't watch Ready to Rumble, and we're not going to talk about Ready to Rumble.
Did you never watch it?
No.
You've honestly
we can do that another time.
Yeah, I know, I'm just a bit shocked that you've never seen it.
I've never seen it. I do intend to see it at some point. Yeah, we can do an episode or whatever, but I've never watched it, and that's nothing to do with... No. I think I may have known him from... You mentioned recently about the WCW Worldwide thing.
Yeah.
That used to be on Channel 5. And that was the first terrestrial wrestling program that we had whilst I was watching anyway. Because Sunday Night Heat came later on Channel 4. And I'm sure there was stuff on ITV and stuff beforehand. But when I started watching, it was WCW Worldwide on Channel 5. And later there was Sunday Night Heat on Channel 4.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that part of the issue with DDP is that he walks in, he's wearing an earring, he's wearing a tight vest, he's wearing leather trousers. He has dressed like a bit of a dickhead.
No, he's in all black, isn't he?
But he looks stupid, though.
Do you think he did? I didn't think he did look stupid.
I thought he looked a bit sort
I don't think I could pull it off, but like I think it were all right for DDP. Wrestlers do dress weird, though, don't they?
They do, but the earring was a bit much for me, to be honest. I think that's what really made it go from like, oh, he's all in black, he looks cool, to looks a bit sort of Freddie Mercury-esque.
Is Freddie Mercury not cool?
Well, Freddie Mercury was probably cool a good 10 years before that, mate. But like in 2001, I don't think that's the height of fashion. The tight sort of vest top.
Fucking got Kwan here.
Excellent. Oh, he also called The Undertaker an idiot in his first promo. So I can't imagine that went down too well. But the whole point of it seemed to be, he said, I've stalked your wife, but I'm not asked about your wife. I just want attention. I want you to make me famous. I'm begging for her. But you basically walk in and say, I want to take down the biggest dog in the yard.
Give me the rub.
Yeah.
Well, the I'll make you famous thing is something Undertaker was saying at the time, because he was saying about Mick Foley, weren't he, that I made him famous, and that was like his little threat, weren't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was. I think he had a thing that was a shirt that said like, "Try me, I'll make you famous," and he said, "Undertaker, I'm begging you, make me famous," which was quite a clever idea. It was like, I'm in your head, so let's get it on. I'm going to make an impression. Of course, they sort of retconned that a bit later to make it, I really want to fuck your wife.
His touring shrine.
Just, oh God. So, anything else to say about the reveal? Because I want to move on to King of the Ring.
No.
Did either of you ever watch the return promo on SmackDown just after it?
No.
So they did a thing on SmackDown where DDP wasn't there, and it was Undertaker with Sarah. And he brought it to the arena, and he's there just saying, like, DDP, you're going to get your ass kicked and stuff. And then DDP had done another one of these vignettes where he's at the Undertaker's house. And it's just him going around the Undertaker's house, looking in Sarah's knicker drawer and stuff, laying on their bed, waving to the Undertaker, and just antagonising more and saying, make me famous again. And it was it built really well into the pay-per-view, which is then why it's kind of weird that they did the pay-per-view how they did it.
Well, the note I've got about the pay-per-view is that this is when DDP slides into being a creepy stalker man, instead of a wrestler who's looking to get an edge on somebody else. And there's a really strange, because essentially at King of the Ring, DDP, I think, is the first thing we see. So it comes in and he's got a ticket and he's saying that he's going to confront The Undertaker. He eventually, I think in between matches, he's constantly saying, where's The Undertaker, where's The Undertaker, blah, blah, blah. He eventually skips the barrier and goes into the ring. Nobody stops him because, why would you? And he's only stalked the wife of your talent. Why would you get the security on him or anything? And from there...
During the segments as well, like in between each match, you'd start seeing vignettes that was someone filming DDP as he was coming into the arena and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Oh, sorry.
So the idea was that Undertaker was turning the tables on him, but actually it was Sarah who was filming him. Sarah appears on the screen, massive fucking grin on her face. She's like, hey, DDP, now we're going to make you famous. She seems oddly happy for someone who's been stalked for the last 2 months.
I don't think she's an actress.
Oh, no, she's not really, is she?
No. She's like, I'm on telly.
Also not a wrestler, but we'll get to that.
Is she not a wrestler?
Not a real one, Daryl.
Oh,
not a real one.
Entertainer.
I mean, you'd think that she was a wrestler.
Yeah.
What we're going to get onto.
What with balaclava and all.
Yeah.
It's also harder to take Undertaker seriously when Limp Bizkit are playing in the background.
Well, no, because this was 2001 and everybody loved that song.
I realised that, and it was like really good. Although the weird thing is, on this show, on the network, intact, right? He comes out to Rolling, even though he's not coming out on his bike. On SummerSlam, you've done it now. You've gonna made a big mistake. They just dubbed it over. But why one and not the other? Doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, at King of the Ring, Undertaker eventually comes out, as I say. It's revealed that Sarah's been filming DDP to get back at him, and actually Undertaker's coming out. And then DDP gets 2 punches in, maybe 3, and then the Undertaker just lobs him about, paggers him. Sarah comes out, Sarah gets a pop. Everyone goes fucking mad for Sarah coming out, because, Undertaker's back. And actually, this is the first point I made a note of, which I noticed that Sarah and Michelle McCool look very similar to each other. King of the Ring.
Yeah, so Sarah Taker's good, isn't she?
Is her name Sarah Undertaker? Have we established that?
I think it's Sarah Taker. He's Undertaker.
Oh, Under being the first name.
Yeah.
Obviously. We just call him Taker all the time. So.
Exactly.
What do you think of King of the Ring, Dan?
Any excitement that was built by the reveal was probably killed at King of the Ring, because it was all right at first that he's waiting for Undertaker, and then it just kind of silly, and then you quickly realise, oh no, this is where DDP gets buried every week.
Well, speaking of getting buried every week, after that, literally the night after is the Raw from Madison Square Garden. Now, this is where the invasion really kicks up a notch, because it's when Mike Awesome beats Rhino for the hardcore title, and they made a big deal of no WCW stars ever set foot in Madison Square Garden, and Undertaker and Kane have a tag match against the Dudleys, which I watched because I knew DDP was involved at the end of it, but it's also really, really symptomatic of the Undertaker at that time, because Undertaker and Kane have a tag match against... Did I say the Hardys? Or
You said Dudleys.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, well, I meant the Dudleys, because I think the Dudleys are the tag champions at the time. And they have this tag match, Undertaker and Kane, paggering the Dudleys, like choke slamming them, sidewalk slamming them, chucking them all around. Dudleys get a couple of little bits of offense in. And then Albert turns up and... attacks Kane, because that was the big feud going forward. Kane against Albert for the Intercontinental
Albert was
Championship.
Intercontinental title champion, weren't he?
The wrestler's belt, everybody.
Yeah, well, he's the trainer of the Stars of the Future.
Head of developmental, yeah.
Lord Tensai. Sweet Tea.
The hip-hop hippo.
But then, it's so symptomatic of them at the time, because not only do the Dudleys fluke a win pinning Kane, but clearly Undertaker then goes, well, I've got to get my heat back as well, because I was involved in that team, even though he has no reason to do it, Bubba Ray attacks Undertaker, which means that Undertaker paggers Bubba Ray, choke slams him, lobs him out, and then this leads to Undertaker going up to the ramp with Sarah, because, she's just around now, raising his fist, and then DDP smacks him with a chair, and DDP has a fist fight with Sarah whilst they play his music.
Here's the weird thing about this. So, the whole thing is Sarah's getting stalked by this guy. So the Undertaker starts bringing her to shows so he can protect her. But he's bringing her every week to the place where her stalker is.
If you want to talk about logic, you're on the wrong podcast.
Talking about the wrong subject.
However big and tough you are, you're bringing your wife into a dangerous area for her.
No,
but then again, it wasn't actually that dangerous in hindsight, was it?
No, but if you wanted to think about it like that, right, he can leave her at home. Does he know that DDP is going to turn up to the arena, or will he just go to his house? If Undertaker brings Sarah there, at least Undertaker's in the same building, so we can do something about it.
He could send her anywhere.
Yeah, but DDP could then follow her.
Yeah, he's got a point. I do understand, yeah. Even though I understand both points. I mean, from one set of logic, well, DDP's getting paid to be at the arena. On the other hand, he's known to be a bit of a fucking nutcase, so he might follow her around, wank over her in the swimming pool, that sort of thing. I'm pretty sure that's a thing that actually happened during this angle. Maybe not so much with the wanking, but definitely watch her in the swimming pool. Have you guys got anything before the WCW title match?
No, but I've got something that I read online that one of the reasons, or it's thought that one of the reasons the Undertaker sort of didn't really give him much in the feud is because there was a house show that they wrestled each other on, and he didn't bump and feed for Undertaker's comeback. He bumped and then sold on the mat, which was apparently what WCW style was. So you took the move and then you sold it, whereas WWE you'd take the move but then you'd feed round to take another move. So Undertaker thought, well, what the fuck are you doing? I've chokeslammed you, get the fuck up because I need to tombstone you. But he weren't getting up. So apparently he thought that were a bit disrespectful. And he also didn't like it that DDP wanted to plan out every single move in the match. Like the match move for move, rather than just planning out certain spots. So he thought that was a bit disrespectful as well, even though Macho Man used to do that as well. But nobody said out to Macho Man.
Yeah, Macho Man known for not being all that good as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. But the thing is, you really get the feeling around this time that because there was so many stars in the WWF, like Undertaker would have been a huge star at the time, but he wouldn't even have been like the third or fourth guy.
Well, no, you've got Rock and Austin 1 and 2, whichever order you want to put them in.
Easily, and then you can make cases for guys like Kurt Angle, Chris
Foley.
Jericho, Mick Foley. So I feel like at this time, Undertaker's super like paranoid and protective of himself. And because of that, stuff like this just seems to happen all the time. I mean, it happens with other people later on, but it's really obvious at this point that not only is he protective of himself, but he seems to be actively burying other people as a consequence of that. And this is the most blatant example. I want to talk about DDP in terms of the WCW invasion. Now, I don't want to get into the whole invasion thing too much, because if we start breaking that down, this will be like a 4-hour podcast, and we don't want that.
No one wants that.
But they had that Booker T against Buff Bagwell match that a lot of people know. Now, why the fuck they had that match, God only knows. But then, after they had that main event of Raw, the show after was Booker T against DDP for the WCW title on SmackDown. Now, I feel like if they'd had this match on Raw, instead of having it on SmackDown after the damage was already done, they might have been able to arrest the whole slide. I don't know what you think about this, Daryl. We watched this one together, I think.
Yeah, well, it was better, wasn't it, than Booker T, Buff Bagwell?
Not hard, but yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the whole invasion thing would have gone down pretty much the same way anyway. I think that Buff Bagwell and Booker T were put out there to fail. They had Arn Anderson and Scott Hudson on commentary, the classic Nitro team of renowned commentator Scott Hudson, a renowned colour commentator / analyst, AAA analyst Arn Anderson.
They had the third announcer from Thunder, and a guy who I don't think he ever did commentary before or afterwards.
No.
Arn Anderson. It wasn't going to happen, was it?
Nah.
Then, obviously, with this still being part of the Stalker angle as well, partway through, I think Undertaker comes in to have a go at DDP, And then DDP runs from Undertaker like a guy who shit himself. That's my abiding memory from the end of that match. So then he runs into the back. There's a mass brawl in the back and they lob Undertaker into a garage door. Then Shane McMahon comes out and says, DDP, what are you doing? DDP smacks Shane McMahon. So Booker T comes out and he's like, oh, DDP, why are you smacking Shane McMahon? And all of the WCW people attack Booker T. And then by Monday, I think it's all forgotten about and they've all turned heel. Did you watch the Booker T against DDP match? WCW? No. You didn't miss a lot. But you missed an amusing angle at the end that clearly was probably written when they were originally intending to do the WCW Saturday night thing. And by Monday, they were like, nah, we're not doing that. No,
nobody wants to see this. Nobody wants to see a show that's got Mike Awesome and Lance Storm on it.
Are you saying that Mike Awesome and Lance Storm weren't an awesome storm of a tag team? I don't think they called themselves that, did they?
Let's keep it going.
All right. The next thing I watched was DDP against Chris Jericho from, I think, the SmackDown before Invasion. The match mainly served to put over the idea that Nick Patrick was a crooked referee, because at one point Jericho's got the match won and Nick Patrick doesn't count. But the reason I wanted to bring it up was that JR spends about 5 minutes slating Booker T for being the WCW champion, says he's not fit to carry the belt, and he says, oh, people always think of champions like Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair, and this guy isn't even good enough to lace up their boots, openly telling people that the guys that they've got in WCW aren't good enough to lace the previous WCW people's boots, the boot people who obviously they didn't buy the contracts of because they couldn't afford to. So if they weren't already shooting the angle in the foot, this is before Invasion. Invasion did massive buys.
Yeah, this is stupid, isn't it?
I think Invasion might still be, and I'm not 100% sure on this, I think Invasion might still be the highest buys of any pay-per-view that's not one of the big four.
Yeah, probably.
I need to check that.
One Night Stand did really well as well.
Yeah.
But for a long time it was, at least.
It certainly was, yeah. So we transition from this. DDP's involved in the inaugural brawl. Did anybody watch the inaugural brawl?
I did at the time.
I watched it at the time. I tried to watch it back. Oh, it's so long and boring.
The inaugural brawl.
And it ends with that Stone Cold Steve Austin heel turn, which everyone was clamouring for, because they hadn't already seen that 2 months ago. This moves on to the DDP and Kanyon tag team.
Who better than Kanyon?
Who better than Kanyon?
Is this when is the invasion? No, it wouldn't. Is this post-invasion?
This is.
It's still pre-invasion.
This is the pay-per-view. This is post-invasion, pre-SummerSlam.
Okay, so he's the invasion MVP at this point.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's just become the invasion MVP who just got handed the US title.
Yeah, and how I saw how Kanyon was introduced, where DDP had his touring shrine.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so DDP had gone to the phase now where he was in love with Sarah, I guess, and he'd set up a shrine in the dressing room that had monitors and pictures of her, and he was just there like pouring at the pictures. So then later on, the Undertaker comes in the room, we see a shadow of a guy who's definitely thicker set than DDP, a bit taller than him, and definitely isn't DDP. And the Undertaker smacks him, and then DDP gets the better of him for once.
I've got to be honest, I wouldn't have noticed that it was thicker set than him, but yes, that's true. So Kanyon involves himself in the feud, and then they have a tag title match with the APA on SmackDown, for which former WCW champion David Arquette was in attendance, by the way. They show him in the front row. They don't mention the fact that he was a former WCW champion. I'm actually shocked that they didn't, genuinely. Yeah. I'm shocked that they didn't go, hey, look, who's in the crowd? It's David Arquette. He was the WCW champion. WCW or wank. By the way, buy SummerSlam, because it's going to be...
Maybe really like Kevin Dunn suggested it to Vince, and Vince just went, no, come on, we don't want to go too far with this.
I'm pretty sure Vince would have said that. Just probably Vince didn't even know. Vince was like, oh yeah, that's that guy from that film. Yeah. Oh, well, he was the format. No, don't tell him. Oh, okay.
Vince at that time were wearing Hawaiian shirts and shagging anyone that moved, weren't he? So.
Right. It was Hawaiian shirt / floaty suit Vince, because he was such a face. So they win the tag titles, and then on the same show, Undertaker and Kane have another match where they pagger somebody again. They destroy
Is
Palumbo.
it chronic?
No, it does lead to that. But they have a match with Palumbo and here where they win the WCW Tag Team titles, and this leads to a winner-take-all cage match at SummerSlam 2001. That whole match is a beatdown. It's weird because Kanyon was sort of pushed harder than most WCW guys, but in order to push him harder, they involve him in this feud, which is already dying a death. And it just strikes me as very odd. I don't know if it's literally because they were together in WCW as the Jersey Triad, weren't they?
Yeah, with Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yes. So I don't know if it was just a case of, well, these two guys worked together before, that'll work. Just chuck them together so that we can have Undertaker and Kane destroy DDP. Because, just Undertaker smashing the fuck out of him wasn't enough.
No.
They had to get his masked freak brother in to set him on fire. Actually, I'm surprised they didn't set him on fire at some point, like whilst he was in the shrine room.
Yeah, you'd have thought they'd have like took great pleasure in saying, Daryl Page, we've got an idea. Do you like fire?
What do you mean, bro?
Do you like being hot?
Shocking. The strange thing about that, did you watch the SummerSlam cage match, Dan?
No, I didn't.
Right, the strange thing about it is, at the end of it, having smashed DDP all around, Undertaker picks him up and goes, "It's over, don't go near her again. Get your ass out of here and I'll let you live." This is after they've already sent Kanyon out, because Kanyon climbs out and Undertaker says to Kane, just let him go, because obviously they want to destroy DDP. And then he tells DDP, just get your ass out of here and I'll let you live. And then Kane taps Undertaker and he goes, don't let him go, he's going to win the titles. So they bring him back down and pin him. It's just a really odd end to the match.
Yeah, that sounds just... Like, they weren't even trying by this point, really, were they?
Well, clearly after this, they decided, right, this hasn't been a decisive enough end to the feud. We need a match between DDP and Sarah. August 20th Raw, the night after SummerSlam. Diamond Dallas Page versus Sarah.
Right. Unless you're Ronda Rousey or someone like that, a woman's not battering a man. No way.
Well, you say that, mate, but who won this match? By pinfall.
Was it Sarah Taker?
It was Sarah Taker.
But then again, Undertaker does come out and chokeslam him onto the floor.
Well, don't bring your logic in here. Who won the match, mate? That's all I'm saying. On the record sheet...
It's not like Sable powerbombing Mark Merrow.
On the record sheet, Sarah defeated DDP. That's what it says on the results.
Yeah.
I know, because I read them.
It's just shit, innit?
It was on the same Raw as they did the Kurt Angle milk truck angle. So this DDP getting pinned by the Undertaker's wife goes straight into Deborah's cookies. It's like this is the blow off to the angle, which leads into Brothers of Destruction against Chronic, which is what everybody wanted to see.
Yeah, DDP had a torn meniscus, which is why he takes a little time off and then comes back in a different gimmick. But yeah, it was just it was an awful end to a pretty awful whole gimmick. It was awful.
Around this time, Austin's treating Deborah like shit on screen, and I was watching it thinking, this is pretty funny, like the stuff he's doing. Then I remembered what actually happened, and I felt really bad.
Yeah, it becomes a lot harder to watch in retrospect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because at the time, I seem to remember, because I was like, 12 or something. I was like, that's funny, she can't cook or whatever. No, but he was battering her at the time, though.
It's like watching Mid-90s WCW when Benoit and Kevin Sullivan are feuding over a woman. It's just, it's not nice to watch.
Yeah, I don't go back and watch them. I just couldn't. I think that would be too far. The strange thing about the DDP and Sarah match, just to finish up on it, is DDP cuts a promo first and he says, "Oh, because I'm a good guy, I'm going to give you the first hit." Sarah slaps him in the face, which is exactly what probably should have happened. There's a point at which he sort of starts turning and laughing to her, and if this was any sort of like remotely evenly booked angle, he'd have given the diamond cutter right there and then Undertaker would have smacked him about. But because it's Undertaker and Sarah's got to keep her heat for the end of the feud. No, that's not what happens. Undertaker just drags him out, chokeslams him, and rolls him back in. And that's DDP until Rebellion 2001. Do you want to talk about Rebellion 2001? Did anybody watch that?
No.
Well, I did.
Okay, cool.
He gets beaten by Big Show. But he's in the Positively Page gimmick by this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he started doing the promos where he's just got that big, goofy smile on his face, which was inspired from some like positivity conference he went to in 2000. And ever since, he'd come up with the idea for this Positively Page character. And in fact, it's the name of his book that he released while he was in WCW.
Well, the strange thing about it is Canyon had a positivity gimmick in WCW, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Which was Positively Canyon.
Yeah.
So they moved to the WWF and DDP must have been like, I've got an idea, lads. I've come up with this gimmick. It's completely original.
Yeah, well, Vince don't watch WCW, so
Of course
he wouldn't even know.
Kind of be like, oh, Vince, I've got an idea. Fuck off, Canyon. I've got an idea. It's all my idea. I came up with it myself. What? No, don't watch those tapes. No, I did it. I'm going to be a positive person.
You don't listen to Mortis about this type of stuff.
Fucking Mortis, Jesus. Mortis was the name of a robot on Robot Wars. That's all I know. That's Canyon shared the name of a robot. Be like you being called Sir Kill a lot, Daryl Matthews. Daryl.
It might happen.
Could happen one day.
Yeah, I quite like that nickname.
So anyway, DDP moves into this positivity gimmick. He doesn't do a lot. He's fired after the invasion. He gets his job back by having a match with a big boss man on SmackDown. Because, that's how
He gets his job back by working.
Yeah, obviously. He comes out to his own theme music and everything. It's like, where's the logic here? If he doesn't have a job, why is he coming out to his own new theme music with his new video? But anyway, WWE logic. And the only real feud he has in this gimmick is an extended feud with Christian, which does actually lead to DDP getting a match at WrestleMania.
Not the first WrestleMania they made an appearance at.
No, they make a mention of it, and also not the first WrestleMania he made appearance at the not the Tokyo Dome, the Toronto Sky Dome, because at WrestleMania 6, DDP drove the Honky Tonk Man to the ring in his own car. So that's probably why he came and hugged Vince. Dan, you watched the WrestleMania.
That's a good point, actually. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe DDP remembered meeting Vince at Toronto Sky Dome back in day, shook his hand and stuff then, and then when he came back to WWE, he was like, Vince, it's me, it's DDP, and hugged him. And Vince is like, who the fuck is this guy?
He probably did. That's my submission of the situation.
Yeah.
Scott Hall's old manager.
DDP would definitely remember him, and Vince would definitely not remember DDP.
No.
They're like, who the fuck is this guy? Get him off me. Do you want to feud with The Undertaker? His wife.
So yeah, this match is quite good. I felt it.
I should clarify, it's WrestleMania X8, DDP against Christian for the European Championship.
Yeah, he'd won it off him a few weeks before it, because Christian was one of his followers in this new Positively Page thing, and then they started feuding, and it led to the WrestleMania match. And it was starting to show, oh wait, DDP is actually pretty good at this, which is why he was so over in WCW. And Christian plays like the whining heel really well.
Yeah, he used to have temper tantrums, didn't he?
Yeah, and it just works perfectly. Him having temper tantrums and Positively Page there with that big goofy grin.
Because Christian's got a bit of a goofy grin as well when he's on his side for a bit.
So yeah, I really enjoyed this match, and it was a sign like, oh, maybe things are going to turn around for DDP. And then Bob Holly came along.
What do you mean Bob Holly came along?
He injured his neck in a match with Bob Holly, which forced him to retire early.
Of course.
So he did come back in other companies.
That's interesting. I didn't know that's how he'd injured his neck.
Yeah, it was in a
I
match
knew
with
he'd
Bob
had an
Holly.
injury, but I didn't know that's how. Yeah, I there's not a lot of reaction for the DDP Christian match. It's obviously it's very quiet, and obviously we know that crowd was waiting to see Hogan. That was a big feature of that WrestleMania, but it was quite nice for DDP to get a bit of a WrestleMania moment. Obviously, it was only the European Championship, but nonetheless, he had a gimmick that at least got him a little bit over again. And I quite liked his catchphrase, actually.
Yeah, it's just a shame that he went from the heights of WCW main event scene to European champion feuding with Christian.
An illustrious belt held by the likes of Test, Eddie Guerrero, who at the time wasn't much of a big deal.
Naked Midian.
Naked Midian. I was thinking more Matt Hardy, but yeah, all right. Naked Midian.
I have got a question for you two. If DDP hadn't been injured in the match with Bob Holly, where do you see him going after all that?
He'd have never main evented.
I feel like he might have been getting towards like how Booker T was used a bit later on, but with his age, it probably wouldn't have been for very long.
I feel like it wouldn't have got there for the reason that you just specified his age. I mean, he was already fairly old for a wrestler when he came into his prime in WCW. WWE is a very sort of, even though Vince himself is Asian, he
hates old people.
He hates old people. He wants to surround himself with younger people. He wants to make it clear that his wrestling products are for younger people. So I don't see him getting the heights of Booker T, and it's a shame because it all goes back to the way they brought him in. They brought him in with a really good angle, but probably the wrong one for him. They gave him nothing, treating him like he was shit. And when you get treated like shit, after a while, people just think you are shit. So
the thing I'd tell people to go back and watch some of his WCW main events. Because during like 97, 98, when Hogan wasn't around, a lot of the pay-per-views were focused on a feud between DDP and Macho Man. And they have some really good matches through that whole feud. And then later on, the night he wins the title at Spring Stampede in the Four Corners match, he gets a huge reaction. This is a guy who was a star in WCW, and he was brought in and just treated like shit, like you said.
Daryl, any more thoughts on DDP in WWE?
No, but I can recommend you his TNA matches to watch as well. They're really good.
I thought he only had one in TNA.
He probably did. Destination X 2004.
Yeah, they brought him in, and then just because he used to do that at the time. Macho Man had a match in TNA once.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, then I think he asked for creative control, and they said no, and he went away.
You were going to fight Hogan in the car park. TNA guys.
Sounds about right.
Be a man, Hulk.
So it's interesting that we should be doing this week because there's one guy who says that his best match in WCW was with DDP. And when we talk about the career mode overall, we've done Scott Steiner, we've done Diamond Dallas Page now. I want to know, guys, who's next? Oh, see what I did there? That's a little hint if we want to do that.
Who?
It's Goldberg, mate. Goldberg.
He's going to be in WWE game, mate. Have you seen that?
Well, exactly. That's why I brought it up.
I'm well excited.
Yeah, looks all right, that.
Don't have to create him anymore. Well, download created one of him.
Well, I did. So, yeah, another career mode's in the bank. I think that's about all we've got time for, really. So I want to say thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Daniel.
Goodbye.
Didn't tell you to say goodbye yet. You got to say goodbye now.
Can't tell me what to do.
Ah, bloody hard, not any.
Rebel. He's a rebel.
This has been the Royal Grumble. Don't forget, find us on Facebook at facebook.com/the Royal Grumble. No, not the Royal Grumble, just Royal Grumble. You'd think I'd bloody learned that by now.
Yeah.
Twitter.com/Royal Grumble Pod. Daryl live tweeted all of Raw. Wasn't worth talking about.
It were fucking dog shit. That's my review. Dog wankers fuck.
Dog wankers fuck. Do enjoy. You can email us at royalgrumblepod@gmail.com and we will talk to you soon.
RoyalGrumble.weebly.com, the website that has all those links.
There you go. You can find that on the website, which is also listed on the Facebook, so you can find it from there.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
See you later.
Catch you down the road.